All right, welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1981-84 Fall League Draft. Draft results, third round. We're going to do a little differently. We're going to actually look at the cards instead of looking at the spreadsheet. See how the player fits in. Beginning with the Cardinals. After adding Fingers and Ozzie Smith and Bruce Hurst, they went out, and of course, Keith Hernandez. This is the 82 Hernandez, his last year in St. Louis, to get a ring. That's the hope, at least, for the Cardinals. Seattle's up next. After adding Alvin Davis, John Curtis, they found a couple players in 81 they liked. They found this guy, Sam Mejias. Surprisingly effective player. Great defense at center. 2-2 in center field, E9. Hits lefties, a singles hitter, but he hits about 275, 280, 286 altogether. So that's pretty effective. Bringing that defense and a pinch hitter in there. And then Glenn Abbott. He actually was on the rotation in the strike year of 81. For the Seattle Mariners. And next up, the Dodgers. Oh, we talked about Baker and Hershiser, Garvey. Well, they made 2 moves in the year of 83. The first of which was adding Steve Howe. Another great year closing out games for Steve Howe. And the other intriguing move, and check this out, this is their present outfield. Baker in left, Gibson in center, and they have Mike Marshall and Tim Wallach on this team. And right now they're both slated to play all over the place, but they can platoon in right. Actually, Marshall's better against righties and lefties. Wallach's the opposite. This is just like a one-year fix, because they expect Ron Say and Steve Garvey to be gone next year. And then they'll just settle into first base and third base, their proper positions. But for this first year, they're going to be in right field just to get in the game. That's pretty clever for the Dodgers to get all these nice bats in the lineup. You have Lopes and Sachs getting into the lineup at DH, catcher, Sosha, first, second, third. Russell will be playing short. And then left, center, platoon, and right. So, yeah. Dodgers might actually get that 81 World Series. Who knows? All right, next up, Vegas. Oh, they pulled a deal. They made a trade. Cost them a draft token. They traded Carney Lansford, their great third baseman, to the Padres for Luis Salazar and the rights to Manny Trio. So going old school with Vegas when they value defense in the infield, at least at this one position. They have May catching, Durham at first, Trio at second, and now Luis Salazar is at third. Not quite. He's pretty actually. Carney Lansford's 336, Salazar it's 303, but it's not bad. Draft token, part of the deal, we like to say. All right, next up, the Boston Red Sox. All right. Armis, Tudor, Diaz, Yaz. It was time to punch the ticket for a guy they traded for, and cross your fingers, folks. They traded for Mark Clear. So we got the one good year that Clear is decent in Boston, which is 82. So 2 years of Clear, and then after that, it gets partly cloudy. But hopefully, it'll be decent enough for the Red Sox for a couple years. Minnesota Twinkies. They added Viola and Castino earlier. Who else did they add? Oh yeah, Pete Filson. They actually just went out and added Roy Smalley. Extended stay, you could say, because he's with the Yankees in 82 with 20 dingers as a shortstop, which is a lot back then. But he's going to keep going in Minnesota with those stats, so that's kind of nice way to gyp the Yankees. All right, now you got the Mets. All right, I forget which guys they added the last time? Was it, oh, it was Remy and Swan last time. Oh, this is a nice pair of players to add to the team. They added Gene Richards. They cut bait with Lee Mazzilli. Now, Lee Mazzilli wasn't doing it much anymore. So you have another. Mazzilli was a switch hitter. Richards is a lefty who can hit lefties fine. And like Mazzilli, he can't throw in the outfield. He's an ace stealer. DH, because you have young blood in left, Mookie Wilson center, Strawberry in right. So Richards can DH. And then they added, they had the rights to Rick Russell. Now he's with the Yankees in 81. So he's on a World Series team with the Yankees with this card. So it's just a one-year rental. He's just occupying a spot in the rotation until Ron Darling or Sid Fernandez arrive next year. All right, your Tigers. Oh, yeah, they made the offseason deal for Jerry Koosman. So they punched the ticket. There's a lot of teams who are just punching the ticket on the deals they made in the offseason and not looking around under, for extra stuff. So Koosman's 81. He's decent. He's got an ERA of 4, but he's got that postseason experience we all love. So yeah, Jerry Koosman is on the Tigers now. He would have been on a Mets team. If you really want to connect the dots to this, in our carryover league in the summer, Jerry Koosman's Mets beat the Tigers. Now, 10 years later, he joins them. Okay. All right, next up, we have Pittsburgh. We had the Pirates, and, oh, yeah, well, yeah. This is, it's hard to argue with this move, but they brought Stargell back, fan favorite, and as, he's got the power and walks against righties, and you just, you don't look at that. You just go over here, and you get somebody to platoon with him, caddy for him, that kind of thing. And they also improved Bob Baylor. Nice utility guy. Boy, ace stealer, B hit runner, great batting average over here. Plays all over the place. Good, valuable tool to have. He's a Leatherman's tool for your baseball club, right? All right, the Colorado Rockies. Oh, this was a nice collection of dudes to pick up. They added two not one, but two lefties to their pitching staff. Remember, they had added Petrie before. But Mark Thurmond, how about this guy? He was a Padre, 83 with a 2.65 ERA. And, of course, they re-upped on Sid Manji, who was a Padre in 83. Isn't that weird? Matter of fact, well, Thurmond was probably an extra player. Manji would have been the fifth best pitcher. And that is Colorado's gain and the Padres' loss on that one. Texas Rangers are taking this thing slow and steady, folks. It's hot in Texas. People don't move around too fast. They've only added 3 players. Buddy Bell, Mike Davis. And they ran it back with their very own John Matlack. Isn't that neat that Koosman and Matlack just got picked literally 4 or 5 players apart from each other? A decade apart? Yeah, he was the 72 Rookie of the Year. Now it's 1982. 10 years. 10 years gone for that guy. Florida Marlins. What did they do? Oh, yeah, these are old players, but they still have some life left in them. We got another guy from the early 70s. We got Richie Hebner. He's now 34 years old. And look, he can play. He could even play the outfield if you want him to. First, third, the outfield. Plenty of power, average. Walks on base. Doesn't look at the ground ball beast. No double plays. Beats them all. 274. Nice little Richie Hebner card for your Florida Marlins. Baltimore, the Orioles. What are the Orioles up to in this draft? Baltimore's on the clock. Oh, yeah, they added Singleton and Boddicker already. Yeah, it doesn't seem sexy, but it really is, folks, when you look at it deeper. They re-upped on Jim Washer Dwyer. Dude's got a 900 OPS. Come on. 900? I mean, I'll take 900. I mean, yeah, that's homers, singles, walks. He hits 304. I mean, you know, and you don't go over there. He's a platoon player. And he's awesome. Got a walk on 8, single chance on 210 with that template. Got to hit that homer on 6 though. Yeah, neat stuff. All right, your Padres. Oh boy, this is, oh geez. 2 moves, just killing it. Padres are killing this draft. They got Gwynn in a 351. They added Kevin McReynolds. Of course, they traded for Templeton, who's hitting 288 with a Cardinal card. Salazar, they just traded for Carney Lansford. Look at this team, folks. This is your Padres nowadays. You have Steve Henderson. Here's the guy they just picked. Carmelo Martinez, first baseman. A bazillion dingers there. 6 of them in 89 at-bats. Did it with the Cubs in the utility role. But he is going to light up the skies in homer-friendly Jack Murphy Stadium. There's Carney Lansford they got in the trade. There's Templeton sitting 288. And they also improved Joe LaFay from a 268 hitter to a guy who crushes righties. He's okay against lefties, actually, -3 arm. He can catch for you for 5 minutes. Play some third base. 306, Joe LaFay, with Bobby Brown platooning with him. I don't know why Bobby Brown wouldn't play every day, but he has to. Crushes lefties. McReynolds in center. Oh yeah, there's Tony Gwynn. We got the Ohio players just won the World Series. You saw it with a great offense and some good pitching. Could next year be the Padres? I mean, the Fall League is turning into the wacky, Expos won it 2 years ago. Ohio players just won it. Fun stuff, folks. Fun stuff. All right, here are your Expos. Okay, Alamighty have fallen a little bit. This is okay. This is all right. All right, they had to pick somebody from '83 that fit what they were looking for. They were looking for a guy who could play in the middle infield, particularly shortstop, because they had Brian Little over here, Doug Flynn over there. Parrish is going to stay at third. They found this guy. Easy, Ed Urak. You can play him every day. Look at the walks there, the hits there. He's a 285 hitter, isn't he? 277. All right. All the infield positions. Well, we want to play short. He's a 3. I can deal with that. So, yeah. That's not bad. Not sexy, of course. I get that. But sometimes an okay player in a sexy spot is better than a sexy player in an okay spot. I just made that up. Anyway, the White Sox. The Chi Sox have gotten Carlton Fisk on this team, Ron Kittle's on this team, Floyd Bannister's on this team. Oh, they did 2 nice things here again. Yeah, just like the Padres, they did some nice stuff here. There's Kittle, of course. They found a second baseman, this guy. How about this? It's sort of the Tony Bernazard, Julio Cruz, Jack Perconti pipeline here. I think those 3 dudes combined for 0 home runs. Anyway, Jack Perconti, Seattle Mariner in '84. Bernazard just was traded to the Mariners. Cruz left the Mariners, but he's with the Cubs. But the dude's hitting 294. And look, as a full-time left-handed batter, he's better against lefties than righties. Perfect top line. Fun little infielder in his best year of his career. The other bigger move is they upgraded Harold Baines to his 84 card. Wow. So he goes from a 277 hitter to this. 29 bombs and a 304 average. Boy, this team didn't need to go get Greg Lazinski at all. They added 29 homers to Baines, 35 for Kittle, and 26 for Fisk. Joining Chambliss, who's holding down the fort for 1 more year until Gray Walker shows up. So that's your top 16 teams. I'm going to pause a moment, and then we'll do the next 16 teams, and that'll be the end of the 3rd round. So stand by. All right, we got the hot Atlanta Braves on the clock. They took 1 player. They needed a lefty, and they found a decent one. They found Tom Underwood, they got him in a deal with Oakland in the offseason. Underwood's bounced around. He was with Toronto, with Oakland, now with Atlanta. He is the new number 3 starter as Mike Madden becomes the new number 4 starter. But I got to talk about this bullpen, folks. Garber is your long man with a 2.59 ERA. Then Bedrosian, actually Bedrosian should be the long man, 2.37. They got Kevin Saucier, $1.65, and Rick Camp is closing it for now, $1.78. Holy smokes, how do you get a bullpen like that? Atlanta, my goodness. All right, your Toronto Bluebirds. Oh, yeah, they had to get Mr. Blue Jay himself into one of his best years, and that is Dave Steve. There he is. We got Steve into his 81 season. He's just 23 years old, but he's already pitching on 3 days rest. Just a wonderful player. Great story. Dave Steve, 81 card for the Blue Jays. Next up, the Arizona Diabolics, the Diamondbacks. They went into the year of 1982 and found a couple guys they wanted to add at the same time. One is bringing back Tito Valentine to play right field. Now, the range is he's down with 2. It was a 1. He's still got the -5 arm, but he crushes lefties and he's still hitting 288. So it's not as good as his 79 or 80 cards, but better than the 81 card that he had. He's not long for Arizona. I think once that card's up, he'll be gone. Oh, the other player. The other player was getting Andy Hassler in the bullpen. We call this a lefty who gets lefties out. There you go. All right. Next up, Kansas City Royals. They were the best team to not make the playoffs. Just missed by a whisker last year. They got 2 nice players, folks. First, their final of the 4 keepers is Quisenberry. They got his 84 card with a 2.64 ERA. Okay, but then they added this guy, Ken Phelps. Seattle Mariner via New York Yankee, I think. 24 dingers and 290 at-bats. Boy, that'll look awfully nice. They literally have the same guy twice. They have Willie Aikens also. They're both 4E18 first baseman. Look at that. Isn't that wild? They get to alternate first base and DH. Isn't that neat? And, yeah. Kansas City and Brett. Oh, yeah. Woo! Royals were great. They got better. Well, Brett got a little worse, but he's still got an amazing card. Doesn't have the 390 card anymore. That's all right. They got Willie Wilson with a 333 card. So that helps the overall team batting average. All right, the Cubs. They made a trade. They needed a left-handed pitcher. Boston had 4 of them. So they drafted and traded catcher Joe Ferguson and sent a draft token to Boston for lefty Jack O'Connor. So now they have a left-handed starting pitcher, and he's actually pretty good. There's Sutcliffe, there's Krugow. Here's your new number 3 in Chicago, Jack O'Connor. He's not bad for for a 2-year contract. ERA looks a little high. I think he'll play much better than that. I always like lefties who give up crap to lefties and are better against righties, which is what he is. So I think it'll play well. The Cubs are betting on it playing well. Because like we say, when you're trying to find left-handed pitching in a draft, good luck. It's almost like finding that needle, in a haystack. All right, California Angels, what are they up to? This is a team that we keep wanting to say farewell to. They make it to the playoffs, divisional round, league championship, World Series. They've done it for the last 3 years, last 4 years. They're in one of those. We keep thinking they're too right-handed heavy, and they might still be that case. They would add another right-handed hitter. And just for added measure, he's a former Oakland A. Gene Tennis became available via St. Louis, not wanting him. There's St. Louis Gene Tennis. And look how right-handed this team continues to be. you've got Baylor, okay? You got tennis. Now, Carew replaces Ron Jackson. That's a step in the right direction. You got Gritch. You got DeCinces. Flannery's just a utility player because Almon is a much better shortstop. You got Brian Downing in left. They finally got Freddie Lynn, and then you got Dan Ford in right. I mean, that's just 7 right-handed batters. Actually, no, Carew. No, just Carew and Lynn. And you can get Tim Flannery in there to frighten your opponent. Yeah, but that's that. All right, the Milwaukee Brewers are taking this draft very slow and carefully. They want to examine things very scientifically. They have yet to add Ben Ogilvy to their roster because they're not sure which year they want to take, for instance. Do they take 82 with all the home runs, but he hits 230, or do they take the 280 year with walks and on base with less homers? And these are the decisions the Brewers are mulling. So they went after and landed Bob McClure with his 83 card. Starter 7, relief 3, though I think this would play better out of the bullpen. I'm of the opinion. If you start a lefty who gets knocked around by righties, he's going to get knocked around by righties. You bring in a lefty out of the bullpen, you'd fare better. But starter 7. So you could go Caldwell, Vukovic, McClure, Haas, then just find a lefty setup guy like a Jamie Easterly type of guy. If that even exists. San Francisco Giants. Woo! I'm telling you, folks, I think the National League West might now be the best division in our sport because Houston is great. I mean, and the Padres, we saw the Padres, and we know the Dodgers are supposed to be great, and the Dodgers have added some nice players, you know. But now we got to address the team who actually won the division, the Giants, and they're not backing down to anybody by any means. They added a couple pitchers, re-upped the same dudes they had. They took the 82 Ed Whitson. He actually was with Cleveland, but they extended his stay in San Francisco. And also, probably Greg Minton's most effective year in San Francisco, though he's a very consistent pitcher throughout his tenure. Both Lavelle and Minton. You could just go Lavelle and Minton for like 6-7 years, and it's the same cards for each guy if you really wanted to. It just seemed that way anyway. These dudes ran the same stuff back. They added Atlee Hammaker last round. They have Jack Clark, Dan Gladden. Oh my goodness. New York Yankees. This is kind of interesting. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. They added Tommy John, of course. He had the rights to Tommy John. They took his 81 card. But that means that the Yankees are running back the same pitching staff from a year ago. Guidry, John, Bryn Smith, Leal, Caudill, Terry Leach, Righetti in the bullpen, and Gossage. The only change was that Tommy John went from his 1980 card to his 1981 card. So the Yankees are trying to do it with pitching again. And Don Mattingly. They added Don Mattingly and yeah. All right, Clevetown. The Clevetown Indians. Yeah, this was kind of a cool pick after when I decided the player I was going to pick, I was like, okay. But then I looked at the card and I'm like, holy smokes. We went with Hargrove again. I think he's had 1-year contracts for 79, 80, and now 81. But my goodness, I didn't realize, you forget so easily how dude hit 317, 323, 322, 3 straight years. He had like a 320 year in Texas. All these walks, year of the strike, no power. They gave him power. He had 2 home runs and 322 at-bats. He has no homers on his card, but they gave him power that way. Anyway, look, 317 is 317. That's why he's there. Next up, Portland. Oh boy. This might be one of the weaker picks of this round. If you recall, in the last video, we talked that Portland had only 1 more roster spot left, and it has to be a full-time starting shortstop. No platoon available. And they found this guy. This is what happens, folks. I'm telling you. you don't stage your draft properly and you're too heavy in certain areas, you're going to be short in others. So Mr. Donnie Hill will be your full-time shortstop. He's your Cal Ripken. He's Mr. Iron Man. Donnie Hill, he's going to stretch those 158 at-bats to 162 games. He is Portland's only shortstop. So hope you don't get hurt. If you get hurt, Art Howell's going to be playing shortstop. Dare we say Portland may miss the playoffs for the first time in a couple years? Well, they're probably due for that. That division goes up and down all the time. Oh, the Reds! Hey, they finally got this rotation really tinkered up nicely here. All right, we know about Seaver and Soto. They're there for like 6 years or something like that. Joe Price is now starter 7. This is the best Price year. Forget the bullpen. Turn in your badge. You're not going out to the bullpen. Report to the clubhouse. You're a starting pitcher, Joe Price. 10-6, 288, 144 innings. All starts, no relief appearances. Then they send him back to the bullpen after that. But anyway, he's your 3. They still have now this is your bullpen. You got Scherzer the lefty, Davis the righty, and Franco the lefty. And they'll add Tom Hume to that. And they think they still have room for a right-handed starter. That'll be a nice pitching staff for a Reds team that had the #1 seed a year ago. We got the final 4 teams tonight. Oaktown A's. The Oaktowners. Yep, nothing splashy here. They made an off-season deal. That big outfielder roller coaster where they shipped off Tony Armas and then they invited Jeff Burrows along. So they picked him. So Burrows is the pick. Yeah, it's when you got Henderson, you got Murphy, you got Burrows. It's just done, But look, folks, he was an Oaktown A in '82, and the stats are great, and the card's great. Look, he mashes. That is a heck of a card with homers and walks. This is a perfect Oakland Billy Bean card. Yeah, slugger. Actually, much higher OPS than Tony Armas would have had, but he's not going to catch anything. That's the trade-off there. So, all right, Houston. The Houston Street Oilers. Houston Astros, or whatever. Oh man, this was thievery, outright thievery. They just stole. You'll see. They went out and this guy had yet to be in the league since like the late 70s. Barry Bonell was out of the sport because of ineffective play for 2 or 3 or 4 years. He just wasn't that great. And then suddenly he does this in the year of '83 with Toronto, a team we'd love to root for because they're always up against it. But Toronto's kind of a powerhouse now. They got George Bell and Jesse Barfield. They don't really need Barry Bonell. He was like a 1-year wonder with these stats. So Houston swooped in and got him. He actually, sadly, in a way, is better defensively in center field than our boy Cesar Cedeno. Isn't that sad in a way? Because we love Cedeno. But there's that. Okay. That's Houston. Philadelphia. There is a big news story. They have announced that they've given up on Tug McGraw. And they have not invited him back to the Phillies. Even though he's got a 2.66 ERA in 1981. They've switched to Al Holland as their closer. And they're going to keep Ray Searage instead of Tug McGraw. So that meant in '81 they could add 2 players. Lonnie Smith's last year in Philadelphia. Oh my. Should be fun. And of course, lefty. 80-81. The difference is against lefties in '80, that's an out. They're all outs. But in '81, he gives up homers mysteriously to lefties now. So that's different. But this team's going to have Jeff Stone and Lonnie Smith on it at the same time, which is hilarious. And unfortunately, one of them gets to play DH, which is disappointing because it would have been really cool to see both of these guys in the outfield next to each other. But it's not going to happen. Stone will be the DH because he's got a +2 arm and he's an E16, while Lonnie Smith got a +1 arm, E13. So there's that, yeah. He's going to Stone and Lonnie Smith in Philadelphia. And our final team tonight, the world champion Ohio players, they are having some fun with themselves. They needed to replace righty starter Jackson Todd and righty reliever Victor Cruz, who are out of the game, or off the team. And they found capable replacements. So let's look at this pitching staff now. They kept Vida Blue, got him into a better card. Where'd Norris go? Oh, yeah, there's Norris. So Norris's 80 card is no more, so he's moved to the 81 card. They still have Andahar, and they added Old Can Boyd. Old Can Boyd, former Red Sox. Great year in 83. He becomes an Ohio player, along with Jefferson, Jackson, Brian Clark they got in a trade, and the new second pick of this round, out of 83, their new closer is Odell Jones. Nice card. Got to get away. Those extra base hits aren't really nice, but otherwise, whew, that's a nice Odell Jones. Did it with the Rangers. 3.09 ERA. And that are the third round draft results. Thanks for checking out the Carryover League draft picks. We'll see you next time.